Well, welcome everybody. Our fourth VTV of this round, and today we have a special guest, Suresh Subramaniam. Got it right?
Yep, absolutely right.
That's good.
It's never an easy one, but you managed to get that right.
Good,
well done.
good. My practice is paying off, eh? So Suresh, I'll let him introduce himself, but he comes from if you don't know him, CEO and founder of the U Hotel Group. So Suresh, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you taking this time out of your day. But give us some introduction, give us a little bit of background as to who you are, and we'll get into it.
Great. So my name is Suresh Subramaniam, and I own and operate U Hotel Group, which is a collection of hotels, motels, and residences within the Wellington region and Nelson. I also own a hospitality solutions company called Innovate Hospitality Solutions, which provides independent hoteliers and moteliers revenue management, digital marketing, social media, branding and development, as well as coaching, training, and entrepreneurship guidance. So wearing a couple of hats here.
Yeah, nice. No, that's good. And one reason why we thought Suresh would be very helpful on this platform is you've managed properties, right? In the Asia Pacific.
Yeah, so I used to run hotels for Accor, where I was a general manager of hotels here in New Zealand, as well as in India and Thailand as well. So my last stint was in Bangkok, where I was the general manager of the Grand Sukhumvit Hotel, as well as the Novotel Bangkok Platinum. And I used to run the Novotel brand for the region. So got exposed to quite a lot of the other side, the corporate side of hotel management. Yep.
Yeah, no, good. And now you've jumped to the other side, which is the owner, you know, got money in the game now.
Yeah. So there is definitely skin in the game right now. So we came back in 2018 and decided that we were going to start up our own hotel company. Very daunting initially, because when you're with a larger team, I suppose you've got a lot more resources. Had a director of finance and a revenue manager and a social media manager and digital marketing person and so on and so forth. And then coming back and just doing it with Katrina and myself has been a real learning curve, but it's been a really, really good one as well.
Yeah, nice. It looks like it's paying off for you. You've got a lot of properties now, so that's really good to watch the journey.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yeah, I thought on these VTVs we have a lot of owner operators. So for any owner operator out there, make sure you load up the chat with questions, because Suresh is the first sort of owner operator that we've had, but then got that wealth of knowledge from the other side of the spectrum too. So Suresh, we'll kick it off with some questions. Just, you've got quite a variation of properties and locations and guests, I suppose. You sort of cover what, four different property types, is it?
Yeah, we'd say about 4 different property types. So we've got the hotels, we've got motels, we've got residences, and hybrid between a backpackers or more like a glam packer, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So, and then across your locations, so you've got Wellington, Nelson.
Yep. Wellington, Nelson, the Wairarapa, as well as the Kapiti region as well. So we've got one in Paraparaumu Beach as well. Yep.
Cool. Great. So from with the current events, well, I suppose even if we go back to sort of March last year, what's the effect been? How's the effect differed from between those property types and the locations as well?
Yeah, look, we've been very reliant on the domestic market, I guess since last year, but prior to that, the city properties were traditionally 50-50. We had a good split between international and domestic. whereas the motels and the ones in the regions, very strong in the domestic market, generally anyways. So yeah, so it was quite an interesting thing to see the switch from that international for the city properties, at least.
Yeah, sure. And then as we're sort of, I mean, with this current lockdown and then previous ones as well, where are you putting your energy and I suppose monetary resources in your bounce back? Are you directing it to any particular area or?
Well, yeah, quite a few actually. So we've sort of focused both on a revenue as well as a cost strategy, just to claw back as much as we could. This lockdown obviously has been particularly hard, and so I guess some of the examples that we would include are sort of price points. Reviewing our pricing for all the properties again. For example, rates and minimum length of stay policies, especially over event dates that were supposed to happen, like the World of Wearable Arts. With a view to getting as much base business now as possible, because we've started to see just a little bit of pickup from the second part of October. So hopefully that continues. A good time to also look at stuff like cancellation policies. So, most of our properties were on a 48-hour cancellation policy. That's a great time to actually put it down to like 24-hour or even a 6 p.m. on the day of arrival. Those things really make a really big difference because, people have got that flexibility to book and to cancel. And sort of doing these kind of value add offers such as, buy two, stay three, free breakfast, late checkouts, pet stay free, etc. Converting some of our apartment style units to longer stay apartments just to get some base business.
Yeah.
And also debtors, we've spent, we're normally pretty good with that. We really look at our 60-day plus outstanding debtors to make sure that those things are obviously cleared as well.
Yeah.
And then the usual banks, restructuring some of our loans to interest only and negotiating with landlords and so on and so forth. So those are some of those areas that we're sort of putting our sort of energies to keep things going as such.
Yeah, sure. No, that's interesting you bring up about the debtors because it's the first time in the 15 VTVs that I've done that anyone's brought that financial aspect, which is really interesting. It's obviously that owner aspect, because being a business owner myself, it's it's one thing that you're always keeping an eye on. There's what comes on the top, and there's what goes out the bottom.
Absolutely,
it's funny. So, from your perspective, how was this lockdown? You mentioned it's difficult. How has it changed from our first lockdown? When I say our first, I mean our, like our proper one,
Yeah, look, completely, yes, it's two very different lockdowns as far as I'm concerned. The biggest difference here is the whole stop-start nature of how this lockdown has actually happened. The government took a very different approach in extending level 4 lockdowns by 3 or 4 days at a time. Which meant that we were unable to plan or to forecast well at all. This Delta strain as well has also spooked guests to some extent and staff alike as well. And this has caused some hesitancy from both sides. Where we saw people who were really, ready to get out the last time, we were seeing a bit of reluctance there. Questions are being asked whether staff are being actually vaccinated, if they're going to be served by someone who's not vaccinated, so on and so forth. So those things are starting to come out right now. So yeah, which is really, really interesting. So I guess there's another point that hoteliers will have to consider when it comes to choosing accommodation going forward.
And what's your stance on that, on vaccinating staff?
Look, it's a tough one. I mean, we are trying to push for all of our staff to get vaccinated because we do see that the benefits outweigh the negatives. But saying that we do have a few staff who are not obviously planning to. We are giving them as much support as we can, and trying to assure them that it's not I guess a lot of the mindset has been about how's it going to affect my health and whatnot. So I've had 2 jabs myself. I feel great. There's no real issues there. But I think if we are going to be serious about tourism here, and if we're going to be serious about opening up again, I think that needs to be a mandate at some stage that gives us that sort of guidance.
Yeah. I saw Anne, just thanks for your question, Anne, just jumped in with a question then around the vaccination of guests. Are you looking at any policy or incentive to guests that have been vaccinated?
Not at this stage. Not at this stage. We are getting the same thing from staff as well, saying, well, then how do we know if somebody is not vaccinated on that side or not? Well, what's happened with us as well, Luke, is that a lot of our properties are actually contactless at this stage, and we're keeping it like that for a while. And that's obviously giving a bit of assurance to both sides that, hey, look, you don't really have to see a staff member, and we've basically automated most things. So I think there is that level of assurance from both sides at this stage, but I think it will have to evolve into something else at some point in time.
Yeah. So just on that contactless stay, is that something that you help with your other side of the business?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
to be perfectly honest, I haven't really delved into the other side of your business. We were looking forward to hearing about it at the upcoming maximum occupancy. So I'm not quite up to speed with it, but that's something that you can help with. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I guess what we did after the last lockdown, there was a lot of hesitancy, I guess, from staff as well, saying, oh, if we're not here to do this for the guests, how are they going to be able to, get through their stay and whatnot? And I guess seeing how things are working in, say, supermarkets for now, there's self checkouts. If you're going to the airport, you're checking in your own bags, you're getting your own boarding pass and so on and so forth. So checking into a hotel is no different at all, and sort of changing that paradigm and that mindset, and having systems that allow us to actually do that, lock boxes or locks that have got keypads on it, that sort of give you access into your rooms. Those things just keep it simple, and so we obviously help with that sort of automation and trying to get people to get that information out to guests as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, good. No, that's great. For anyone on the call, we do have our VTV Facebook group. So anyone that wants to know further about this, I can put, Alberta will put the contact details for Suresh in there, so you can reach out, because obviously you're at the pointy end of this, and you're obviously someone that we can learn a lot from, about how to make that stay as contactless as possible. I suppose you've worked out how to keep it personalized and that type of thing, which is obviously a big question when it comes to, easy, but still that personalized stay.
Yes. And that to be honest, it's a really good question, actually, Luke. Where's that line, right? And where do guests feel? And I think, the small things that we can do as hoteliers, and there's no secret, but if you know that somebody is going to be arriving a little bit later, if you're not going to be around, it doesn't cost a lot of money to put a couple of cups of tea with a cookie on it, with a nice little note to say, hey, look, sorry that we missed you, but really look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. And we do that for everybody that we are going to be checking in, or that we know that's going to come in while we're not around, and it really sticks in the head. And these are kinds of things, these are those kind of touch points that people go, wow, somebody actually wrote me a note, and somebody actually put a couple of cookies and some tea or some hot chocolate sachets So these kinds of things, I think, really, really help, and they really help with that sort of guest experience at the end of the day, because it doesn't really cost a lot of money to actually do that.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I can still remember a stay I had, probably 2017, where I had a personal note in my room, which still sticks with me. You know, someone's actually taken the time to actually write you a note, personalised to you, a little comment, something that they know about you, and that really sticks. You know, doesn't take a lot of time. You've got the different properties, different locations. Again, how have you kept your team connected, supported? What's your approach there?
Yeah, look, really, that's a really important one. I guess you know, technology once again has really helped here. We sort of have WhatsApp groups within all of our teams. Constant communication throughout, and what that's really allowed us to do is to, you know, if there's any situation with a room, or if there's any maintenance type things or anything like that, you know, people can quite quickly take photos with their phones, and be able to solve these things quite quickly. Nice. But from a connection point of view, especially over this time, my wife Katrina, who's also a director in the company, and you know, together we send sort of regular updates to our staff, check in on them, make sure that they're safe, well, and happy. It's not really fortunate, Luke, that most of our staff have been through this before to some extent, and sort of understand the ups and downs. But as for the new ones, there's a lot more communication and support given, so that they're mentally confident when they're back in the work environment.
Yeah, no, that's good. Every staff member, regardless of where they sit in the organisation, always appreciates a message or something from the owner or the manager. I think it means every time you do it, you're always, well, for me, I'm always surprised at how much your staff actually respect it. For me, it's just like, man, I'm just a Joe Blogs person, you know. Why would someone be thankful from a personal note from me? You know, I can't get my head around it. But then from their perspective, they really appreciate it, which is something for us to remember as owners and managers. So, Suresh, how was your? I mean, you would have come across challenges in your previous roles where you've been a manager, and now we've got a big challenge on our hands, and you're an owner. How has that changed your perspective? There's obviously the money one.
I didn't appreciate cash flows to the same extent from when I was a general manager, I guess. Just to be very bluntly honest there, the buck stops with you. And so being the owners really exposed me to a lot of different opportunities to make decisions on things such as, say, discretionary spending, capital investments, financial restructures, so on and so forth. These are sorts of things that I wasn't really exposed to when I was a general manager, and so really learning a lot. It's really allowed me to network with another group as well, which has led to other opportunities. And you know, with every crisis, there is an opportunity in disguise, I suppose. So it's a very different playing field. But one thing I'm really grateful for is that I'm happy that I've had the management side of hotels as well, because I guess I've got a different sense of empathy, to truly understand both sides of the coin. And it's never only about the profits, I suppose, and revenues. I'm really thankful that I've had the opportunity to see both sides.
Yeah, it's nice. That's good. It's good. And then if we look forward to the future, what do you see as COVID and the length of its tail? What do you see as being the sort of the biggest challenge for your group?
Well, the biggest challenge, it's going to be staffing, and retaining our staff is going to be key, and will be a challenge, because this sector is really struggling with the stability. And as you know, we're really susceptible to COVID lockdowns or to recessions, as we are right in the forefront. You know, for us personally, we're a family company, and our staff are an extension of our family, and so, you know, really looking after their well-being, and taking that really seriously, because salary and benefits are just one part. And so listening to the team and being flexible is going to be the key, and I think that's going to be the single biggest challenge, apart from the obvious in terms of, you know, revenues and incomes. But the single biggest challenge in our industry is going to be staffing.
Yeah. No, we've seen that play out here as well. We've got a team of 22, and exactly the same problem. And as you say, salary is just one thing. It's a piece of the puzzle. But then now you see a bigger shift. The closer you work with staff, the you see a bigger shift of people wanting to know what's else, you know, what else, what support is there other than the salary side of things, which is important. Question for you: hypothetically, there's a lockdown's going to happen in 9 months. What would you be doing today if you knew that? What would you be working towards?
Wow, that's a very good one. Look, I think the hypothetical part of it is not really hypothetical. I think look, I think you know, I think it will definitely happen. I think we need to continue to keep things lean and to really invest our staff would be the two things that really come to mind right now. This disruption is definitely going to happen again, whether we like it or not. And so the mantra will be to be ready to adapt quickly. You know, just as an example, we stocked up on sanitizers and masks and gloves and other PPE items in April this year in all the properties as the Delta strain was strengthening around the world. Because, you know, you can't, you know, Mother Nature has her way, and she will have her way, and we just can't let our guard down, and we can't be complacent about it. You know, even after the lockdowns last year with the use of sanitizers, and I'm not sure what your experience was, but the moment we went to level 1, nobody was using sanitizers anymore. There was no, you know, and you could see what was happening around the world. So I think, you know, keeping it lean and really planning for these eventualities is going to be the key, and to be able to react very quickly as well, because I think that is going to be, you know, these kinds of disruptions are definitely going to happen more and more.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think sometimes the fact that we think we're a little bubble on the corner of the earth, do you think that doesn't always play in our favor, because COVID is a respecter of no borders, you know?
Yep.
In that sense, we've got to keep our guard up, because it's only a flight away, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's just a flight away, and we've seen that it's not, you know, it's not just the face-to-face contact that we need. It can be passed through a lot of different ways as well. I had the good fortune of being in Singapore in June, and I was there to visit my dad and mum, and so I was there for a few weeks. And look, you know, Singapore is doing a really good job in trying to contain it. They've, you know, gone with a mindset of that we're going to live with this, and these are the things that we've got in place. Even, you know, with, you know, notwithstanding that, there's still been heaps of you know, there's just been spikes as well, and they're really struggling to contain it. So it was quite obvious then that it was definitely going to spread somewhere else, and then now it's come to Australia, and now it's come here. So it's not going to go away in a rush.
No, that's true. That's very true. Over the last 18 months, we've had a lot of up and downs. Yep. What would be some of your biggest takeaways, I suppose, positively and negatively? What's your biggest learns, I suppose, that you're going to take forward into your future of in this industry?
Look, I think it's really taught me that this is not the end, and that we can't put a timeline on when this thing is going to end. If it's, it's sort of taught me that we have to be ready at short notice, like I said before, and keep an open mind as to how things can look like in the future. Staffing issues that we face right now are only going to get worse, and perhaps this crisis, could probably give birth to a gig economy that fulfills the needs of the accommodation and hospitality industry, similar to the Ubers and the Upworks and the Fivers of this world. Never know, because we will have to. I think there will come a time when we will have to share our staff within sort of different organizations where they work, 3 hours for you and 2 hours for me and 1 hour for somebody else, the same way as they're doing with other gig economies. And maybe this might give rise to something like that. Right. But I think it's only going to change, and the change is going to be a constant.
Yeah, that's interesting. You brought two new things to VTV. One is that tech, I suppose, that side of all that side of things, and then the financial side that we've already alluded to. So that's very interesting points that you raised there. We could carry on for quite a while here.
we could, yeah. Gosh, it's already been nearly half an hour, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm conscious of your time, and everybody listening. So we'll wrap it up. There was one question that came through. You say you've negotiated with landlords. Any hints or tips on that?
Yeah, sure. Look, landlords are very, we deal with a few ourselves. With one or two that are harder than the others, I suppose. And but I think if you can give them a sense of what you're doing. So what we've done is that we've actually given to our landlord a smart action plan. And, just to say, hey, look, we are going to be doing all of these things to try and, make sure that the costs are obviously controlled, that we're getting as much business as we can. What are you willing to do to help us out now? And I think if you go out to them and just say, hey, look, it's a COVID and I don't want to pay my rent next month, people are going to get their back up right away. So I think coming from a very different angle, and these smart action plans are really, really good, because they've got the item as to say, okay, if you're going to say, looking cutting costs in staffing, or turning off all of your minibars, or making sure that you're turning off a wing of your hotel or something like that, and you're putting down a structure and saying, hey, look, we are going to put all this in place because we really still want to support you, but can you support us right now? And I see that strategy has really worked well for us. People understand our businesses a little bit better as well, and they are more empathetic then. Yeah.
No, that's really good. I like the way that you talk about showing them where you're working towards. It's like the sort of the busker versus beggar, isn't it? The beggar just sits there with the bowl, the busker sits there saying, I'm trying to get to fly to XYZ. You're giving them that reason to actually invest. Yeah. Which is a very, very good point. Suresh, I really appreciate your time. We are coming up on half an hour, so we're going to have to stop here. But I don't think the conversation will stop. We will put up on the our Facebook group the links to your different pages and the Innovate as well, because there's some good learns there. And I think anyone on the call, if you're passing through the Wellington Nelson region, it'd be very good to swing by your properties and see how it plays out.
Look, I really, really thank you for the opportunity to talk to you and to everyone that's actually viewing as well. What you're doing is a great thing here by opening up dialogue and really supporting. These are kind of times that we need that kind of support. So look, everybody's hurting and some may not survive if there are more disruptions like this, but we'll certainly get through this with grit and with each other's support. So I'm really happy to help anyone who wants to get in touch with me via email or LinkedIn. You can see the LinkedIn profile on the chat, which I've just seen as well. So please do not hesitate. And and if you're ever in this part of the world or in Nelson, please look me up. Would love to meet with you guys and really happy to look after as well, but really appreciate the opportunity.
Brilliant. Thank you, Suresh. Really appreciate your time and appreciate everyone on the call. See you next Thursday, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.